Hi everybody, it's Cash and this is the video I promised you about Olive and how she's doing. If you're new to the channel, Olive came to the house as a stray, essentially, in December of 2021. Just appeared at the back door and meowed and meowed and meowed and wouldn't leave. She had been spayed, and whoever had partially domesticated her had basically thrown her out afterwards, and she was left wandering around the neighborhood. This is not a great neighborhood to be wandering around in if you're a small animal. They come through, cats, rabbits, dogs, whatever, and they're eaten within a very, very short time. It's absolutely a horrible experience, but it's the circle of life, and so that is that. But Olive arrived and she was so cute. She didn't scratch, she didn't bite, she was adorable from the get-go. And even though I really didn't want an animal, I didn't want the responsibility, I didn't want to devote time to it because I was busy, I allowed her to stay, and she rapidly became a fixture. She's very, very demanding. She likes filet mignon and wild caught Alaskan salmon. And she has a kind of princessy air to her that I'd never come across before. But she stayed. She didn't really wander out the one time she did. She came back damaged. She'd been in a fight or something and was hurt. But other than that, she stuck around. So all has been well on that. I mean, she has off days when she's not so great, and that's because she eats things she shouldn't eat, like plants and bugs and stuff, potpourri, and then she vomits and she doesn't feel good for a couple of days, and then she's back to normal. And this has been how things have gone over the last, how long is that, like 18, 19 months perhaps? She's only 2 years old. Probably her birthday is around now, I would say. But she's only 2 years old and is a delight, as I said. I mean, she sleeps very often with me at night. She's the most empathetic, empathic, intelligent cat I've ever come across. I swear, she is simply a human being trapped in fur and finds it very frustrating that she can't say anything. It's been an amazing relationship. I am a changed person as a result of her. My life took a detour when she arrived, and she has changed me. Simply because she was so tuned in to what was going on. For example, my father died last year, and she was sitting on the table next to me, and I turned to her and said, "Hey, Olive, my father died today." And immediately she got down on her stomach and put her paw on my leg and left it there for the longest time. It's like, yeah, I get it. I'm here for you. You're fine. And as I said, she has changed my life. Then, about 6 weeks ago, she suddenly changed. It was overnight. One day she was fine. The next day she was different. She was subdued. She was distracted. I initially thought she's eaten something again, because that's exactly how she is when she's eaten a leaf of a plant she shouldn't have and so on. But it just carried on. She had up days and down days, as always, but the up days were short and the long days could go on for 2 or 3 days. And then she began drooling from the side of her mouth, and also her eyes are watering. In research, I found out that many black cats have this watery eye thing. It's not a big deal. But she was also drooling, and it looked odd. I let it go for a while, thinking, well, she'll be okay. I mean, I did my kind of healing thing on her that I do, and thought, she'll come around. It'll be fine. But it just went on. And there was one day she was sitting beside me on the table where she looked at me, and her eyes were slightly closed, and it was like, hey, I need attention now. Something is not right. I need attention. Now, this is from a cat who doesn't like going to the vets, but I basically took her to the emergency room. A couple of us did. She had tests done, and the doctor there said, look, she's absolutely fine. All the tests come completely clean. But she does have an infection in her gum, an infection in her tooth That needs to be sorted out with a dentist. So I tried to get into a dentist. It turns out that they work intermittently, and I couldn't get an appointment for a while, but I got her in, took her along, and she had an extraction. Her tooth was extraction. Well, this was so traumatizing to her that she freaked out and then lost trust completely in me, because she thought, oh, the moment I go near him, he's going to pick me up and stick me in a box and take me off to a laboratory. And she was fine, though, for a while. And apparently the operation on the tooth was very, very good. It healed, and she's fine as far as that goes. But before that, she'd had antibiotics to reduce the inflammation, because apparently that was substantial in the mouth. And although they did tests on her and they all came clean, blood tests, everything, she was absolutely fine, and now the tooth was fine, she wasn't herself. She was good for about 4 days. Perky, running around, meowing all the time. And then she started drooling again, and her eye was watering again. And it turns out that when the tooth extraction went ahead, when the inflammation had gone down and the tooth was out, the doctor, the vet, found a lump in her jaw and said, it's probably nothing, but I can do a test on it and I can find out and I'll report back. So that was, when was that, 2 weeks ago, possibly? The test took a long time to come through. Meanwhile, Olive was on a 2-week antibiotic course and painkillers if she needed it. She was really, really well taken care of. She is peeing normally, pooping normally, eating normally, drinking normally, running upstairs, going on the balcony, sunning herself, getting into bed, and all the usual stuff. But she's drooling and her eye is running still. Last Saturday, I put up the video that I did, and all was well. And then later that afternoon, I got a call from the vet, which completely threw me for a loop. She said that Olive has oral cancer, but in a very advanced stage. It's very aggressive, she said, and it's moving fast. Very soon she won't be able to breathe because it's blocking her nose. And the running eye is because of it pushing up against her eye. And therefore, her lifespan now was going to be limited. There were certain things I could have done if I wanted to. I could have part of her jaw removed. No. That's not going to happen to Olive. If she freaked out at the tooth extraction, then losing part of her jaw would be barbaric. And also she could have chemo and stuff like that. The normal cancer treatments, no. This is too much torture for this cat. So I was so distraught by this, I had to walk down there and get more painkillers for her, because it's a rapidly moving thing. And although she is eating and drinking and peeing and pooping and all the rest, she, without the painkillers, is in pain. The vet said she'd never come across an animal with this high a pain threshold, because the infection before must have been killing for her. And you remember I did that energy picture for her where it was like a cloud around her from her shoulders up around her head? Well, I did pictures again a couple of days ago, and it was, you know, those space helmets they used to put actors in movies in the 50s, sci-fi movies. They're like just like bubbles on their head. It was like that. Stopped and started here, but was solid, like her head was filled with it. So this wasn't a cloud anymore. This was centered and focused on her head. I had to go down and get painkillers, and I was so distracted and so distraught that I walked way past the vets. I think maybe about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. I had to come all the way back again. I just wasn't thinking. My only thought was, oh my God, I thought this cat would outlive me. I was even thinking, do I have to make provision in my will for her to be looked after when I'm gone? But, you know, she's got a limited time, according to the vet. She was taken in again the other day, and it was confirmed that, yeah, she's in a pretty bad way. And short of doing something barbaric to her, the only other solution is to give her a special drug, which actually should arrive today or tomorrow, that will give her a certain quality of life. And she won't be in pain, and it will just keep things in order for a while. But even though I don't want to lose her, I'm not prepared to see her quality of life diminish to the point where she's alive for me. She's not going to stay alive for me. I want her to stay alive. In fact, I gave her the talk the other night. After I'd heard about this thing from the vet, I gave her a talk. And I said, I don't want you to go. But if you must go, then it's fine. What's odd is that I have been asked for a couple of years now, would I do transition pictures for Neville Goddard, the mystic? And I never felt very interested in him, really. Why would I do him, of all people? There are so many more to be done. And yet, I felt like doing it the other night. And so I did. And you probably saw it in the video. If you didn't, I'll put a link to it down below. But there was that moment where he approaches the light and in his consciousness says, why? Why must I go? Because he went at the same age I am now. He was 67. Why must I go? You get all this wisdom, you get all this learning, and then you're just taken away. And in my head, Grace replied, because we have things for you to do. Because there are other things you have to do and we need you to come with us. That kind of thing. And that's what I thought of with Olive. Maybe, given how brilliant she is and empathetic and connected, maybe she came here for a reason when she did. And my job was simply to make her comfortable, make her welcome, take care of her at every stage, accept what she brought with her for me, maybe just in terms of mellowing me and making me appreciate life more. But there could be so much more. But just allow her to give to me what she needed to give, and then she was destined to go. So that is it. That's the story. The vet thinks that she has, even with the drugs, maximum 2 months left. 2 months of being pampered. I took her breakfast in bed the other day when she didn't look as though she wanted to get up. I just took her breakfast in bed and fed her there. But, you know, it's 2 months of love and pampering and the kind of security and care that she can be given at this particular point. And what I did was I cupped her head in my hands and I did that Paul Selig healing thing of I am word in my being. And I imagined her being in her being, if that makes sense, and conjoining with mine. And you don't project health onto them. That's not the idea. You don't pray for them to be well as such. You go inside them using your connecting divine power, you know, this core of divinity you have inside of you that is perfect and knows nothing of ill health. That's just a mortal thing. You take that core and you find their core, you align with that core, and then you project into their self, their physical self, healing and just general wellness and feelings of joy and so on. That in Christian Science anyway, is the way to heal things. But having talked to the vet, who was a brilliant vet, actually, having talked to the vet, I now know and accept that Olive is not going to be around for much longer. But the time she does spend here, I am determined is going to be full of love and caring. I don't feel I need to get a second opinion about this. I don't feel I need to experiment and try all different things on her. This is the way it's going to go. And it makes me really sad. To lose her will be a tragedy in my life. But you have been through all this. I know so many of you have lived through this with dogs, cats, and so on. And I should say that over the last 2 years, 20 months, 19 months, whatever it is, the people who've written in the comment section, all those people who've shown concern for Olive and given information and advice and directions, some of which I took, some of which I couldn't, but all of you have helped Olive enormously. You have contributed to her quality of life. And although she's not able to express that gratitude she feels for that, I do. I'm really incredibly grateful. All right, so thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry this is such a bummer. That person was right. In fact, it wasn't just one person, it was several people wrote and said, God, it's such a bummer when you talk about your cat. But you can see now why. And I spared the audience most of the details, actually. But this explains it. And once again, I appreciate everybody who's shown interest and concern about this wonderful, wonderful animal. She came and she has something else to do and she's got to go. I'll see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.